A little bit of depth chart, just in case you guys ask me something, or I can at least point out some highs of what I saw from Thursday scrimmage. But just got done with number 7 today. I thought it was a good day overall. I really think after 7 days, pretty good. We're about halfway through spring ball, really. As you look at it, we have a shorts day, which will be the day before the spring game or Thursday before the spring game. So really, as far as work days go, we're halfway through it, not counting that day because it's a pretty light day. So 5 padded practices in. I mean, the first 2 were, in just a helmet. So I think, we've made some strides. We had a little setback with the COVID thing, which, I didn't feel like our kids played. I think the last time I talked was on that Tuesday when we came back last Tuesday, I guess a week ago. And I wasn't happy, but we really had a good Thursday and again, another good Tuesday today. So I just think when you're away from football and you're quarantined or isolated in your dorm room that, and we had meetings with them all week, but just not the same. You got to play this game of football to get real good at it. So I'm happy with where we are after 7 and COVID, as you guys know, we backed up the spring game and again, didn't really, officially do that till this morning, but kind of went back and forth, had about 4 different versions of a calendar. My thought process was, number one, my thought process was, hey, we'll practice. We'll just get these 3, we missed 3 practices. We'll get them in, we'll slide them in and finish on, normal practices. But I just thought I'd be cheating the team if I practiced today and then had another one tomorrow or had one on Good Friday. I just thought, just didn't want to do it. I wanted to wait till our guys were all back. I wanted to wait till, again, we were, full participation today. But I want to wait till our guys are back and I don't want to speed it up. We need this development time. I talked about it in our first meeting, for spring ball number 1. And we need this time selfishly. And we've got to take our time. We need tomorrow to look at the tape today and make all the corrections, fix it. That's what coaches do. And to rush it tomorrow, we'll exhaust our kids physically and mentally. And I don't think we'll get as much out of it. So that's the important thing. So questions.
Pat, when you say your full participation, so you guys got no one in contact tracing or quarantine or anything like that right now? You guys were good at practice?
Correct. Everybody's back.
Pat, I'm curious, you mentioned depth charts. I'm curious about your depth chart at linebacker.
At linebacker?
Pardon me?
Yeah, go ahead. Linebacker depth chart?
Last year, Servassier Dennis was one of your more productive guys, defensive guys, but he really wasn't a starter. How are you going to find enough time for Dennis and Campbell and Bright and Davis and Pine and even
They're going to find enough time. Jerry, it's a great question. It's going to come down to production. It's going to come down to how they practice. And I look at Voss as a starter and Cam Bright, and, we're going to play with the 3 best ones. And maybe he beats out, Chase Pine and Wendell Davis inside. Who knows? We're going to play the 3 best players, at linebacker. And I think we do have, probably our best group of linebackers that we've had, since I've been here, as far as just a total group, the numbers of guys that can play. So it's called competition. And whether it comes down to who practices well during the week, you can be a starter going into the opener, but every week is a little bit different game plan. And how do you practice that week? Do you think you've already arrived? So I think it'll come down to that. But the good thing is, it's like, you're wondering how we're going to get them on the field. I'm wondering who's going to start and who's going to practice and be consistent and do the right things all the time. And that helps you win championships when you have depth and competition at those positions.
Are Dennis and
Here it comes. Go ahead. I didn't hear you.
Dennis and Camborne in competition at money?
Yeah, I mean, Dennis is in competition with everybody. Star, Money, Mike. I mean, they're all in competition. So I'll tell you this, just, guys that are, I might as well tell you this just so, because you're going to find out in the spring game. Dennis is out for the spring. He was out, he had postseason surgery, just so you're not asking later on and saying how he's doing. But, Dennis is doing a great job of recovery. Bengali's out with shoulder surgery as well. Shouldn't have told you that. Temple is out for the spring as well. Eric Howitt's out for the spring. Leslie Smith is out for the spring. So obviously some defensive guys. Grant Kerrigan's out for the spring. Again, we knew these guys were out for the spring going in. So I think that's it. I think there were 6 guys, which is a low number from what we had a year ago. That are after the season's over, as soon as the season was over, we got them cleaned up, got them fixed, and during recovery, and we won't risk that during spring ball. So but Voss, when fall camp starts, I mean, he's lifting, he looks big. You think he's playing right now. But, all those guys are right now working hard, at what they can to recover. We're going to make sure they're safe.
At linebacker, I think Campbell has played both outside spots. Pine and Dennis have both played Mike and Money. How much more difficult is that to come up with? Okay, which are our three, because there's a bunch of different combinations, but also is that an advantage when you put guys on the field for like maybe disguising things or being able to be more creative with what you're doing on defense?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. The other guy, you ask a long question and I don't have an answer for you. We'll get those guys on the field. But the other guy that I got to mention is John Patrician is playing really well. And knock on wood, he stays healthy. But he's had a heck of a spring so far. He's getting better. He's, light years of where he was last year. And, anytime he got a chance in a game, he was almost a gamer. He was not a great practice player because I don't think he knew what he was doing. He's gotten more reps in practice. But when the lights turned on the field, Johnny showed up not only on special teams, but when he did get opportunities on defense, especially near the end of the year. So he's playing well as well. So, disguise wise, whether it's Phil or Savasier, it doesn't matter who's in there. We're going to do what we do. We're not going to change it up too much. We'll have different change ups, as but again, it's good to have depth at the linebacker position. You guys all linebackered out yet?
Matthew Gonsalves, he was a guy that kind of came on strong at the end of last year. Just wondering how he's progressing this spring, and I guess he has some versatility. He can play, guard, tackle, and even center.
He really can. He can play anything. Matt's doing a great job right now, and again, we got a battle going on right now. I mean, you talk about the tackle, talk about the linebacker position, but you talk about the tackle position right now. Matt Gonsalves, Carter Warren, and Gabe Hoy are in a three-way battle to see who's going to start those tackle positions. When we come down to the spring draft on Wednesday, I guess before the spring game, it'll be interesting to see who drafts who, at every position. But especially that'll be another one. It's like, that's one of those easy positions as far as, I mean, those are some good players, and I'm happy with all three of those guys. And they're in a battle right now, like, just like linebacker, like who's going to start those all three good players. It's going to come down to who's consistent day in and day out.
Do you think any one of those three is locked in left side or right side, or are you considering for all the tackle spots?
Really consider, all of them. I mean, Carter Warren played a little right tackle today. He's played obviously mostly left. Gonsalves has played both, and I think Gabe has played both, and Gabe's also played inside. So we're going to find out.
Pat, how many positions do you have competition like you have in those couple of areas?
I mean, I think, there's some competition going on in the secondary. I mean, with, the safety position, when you got, Judson Talander is playing well at the safety position right now. He knows more than the other guys, but Devonshire, MJ's, shows some great things out there, and so does PJ O'Brien. So there's some young guys, and I told you Hallett's out. So those young guys are getting a chance to see if they can step up and beat Howard out in the fall. But with Howard being out, the young guys are actually getting a great look, which is good. We know Eric can play already, but I'd say there's a battle at safety. I mean, obviously the receivers are continuing to battle out there, and Addison is doing a great job, as Tayseer Mack's had an incredible spring so far. I'm really happy with where he's come mentally and physically. He's playing fast. He's stayed healthy, and I think mentally he's in a great place when you see him out there.
Pat, you were very confident about Vincent Davis being RB1 last week when we talked to you. How's he done with the more practices, and who do you see kind of making those 3% strides you always talk about behind him? Yeah,
that's another position where Vince is doing a nice job. He fumbled today, so I'm not real happy. And inside he fumbled, and again, our running backs don't fumble very often. But Izzy's doing a great job. Daniel Carter's is come on. I mean, it's a battle right now to at that position. Who's going to be the backup? And they had some pretty good grades on Thursday's I guess semi scrimmage. I think we had 75 plays offensively and defensively. And again, we'll get over 100 this weekend. But I think that matter of fact, EJ, Coach LaSala, yes. I haven't covered this with you, but can we invite everybody that's on here today to the scrimmage Saturday? Are we allowed to do that? I don't know Heinz Field, how if they'd be mad if Kelly can't.
I don't think so, Coach. I don't know that we can. We
don't
can look
think we
into
can?
it.
Huh?
We can look into it.
Look into it, EJ, I'll let you know, but I'm inviting you. So I don't know if LaSalle screws this thing up, then we'll blame it on LaSalle. But, I just don't, you guys have been away for so long. I'd love to get you to go in there and see a real scrimmage, not, the blue and gold to be good and fun and all that stuff, but it's not like a real scrimmage. So there's a lot going on out there. It would be exciting. Jerry, if your wife will give you a hall pass, maybe you can get out of the house. If LaSalle can get it done. So we'll find out. We'll just pretend, what if they can't go in the press box? What if they're just in the stands with some of the parents, Coach? They come as fans.
We'll look into it, Coach.
Okay.
I know they're not going to get in the press box, Coach. I know that.
Yeah, and the press box is shut down. Matter of fact, the electricity is shut down too. So, all right, what else we got? Any questions?
Joey, Joey and Davis and Nick. I mean, what have you seen from those three guys, especially in the scrimmage last week?
They all did some good things. I mean, stat-wise, Davis Bevel, stat-wise for the backups, probably had the better stats. He threw a nice one to Jordan Addison down the sideline for a touchdown. I believe it was him. Joey's done some nice jobs, but sometimes it depends on who the receivers are. And so it's hard to, I'll look at him as a defensive guy. What's he doing? But it's like, well, receiver ran the wrong route when he's in with some different guys. So, they've all shown some good things, and it's a constant battle. The other thing I will say is, there was only one red jersey quarterback out there on Saturday was Kenny Pickett. Everybody else had it. I think the offense had the blue jerseys on, so they were out in blue. So the quarterbacks did get hit, which I think we have to. So part of this development is finding out who that backup quarterback is going to be as soon as we possibly can. And I think the only way you can do that is to make them live and see if they can make plays with their feet. And see how they take pressure. So we'll continue to do that this weekend. So if you're lucky enough to be there Saturday, you'll see some live quarterback play too.
Pat, it was a pretty big deal for your team to get Kenny back, for another year. But for those guys, I'm sure individually they were thinking there was going to be a greater opportunity for this coming season. And then Kenny comes back, it doesn't turn out to be. How do you feel like they've responded to that sort of mentally as to kind of maybe their sort of internal timeline for when they might get some playing time being pushed back a year?
I think that's, part of the process. I think, Kenny obviously, surprised us all with his decision. I think that, I think probably initially they were all kind of like, oh man, but, what are you going to do? I mean, as a staff, I think as a program, I think all the quarterbacks are happy for Kenny. I think they all want to see him come back, but I think, for maybe 24 hours, 48 hours, you're saying, hey, what about me? Which is normal, natural, so I don't, but I think they're great. I think they're good with it. I think, you got to be a team player, and, everybody knows they want, that starting quarterback back for another year. And we're happy to have Kenny back, but you never know how long it lasts. And those guys got to be ready. And I think it's a blessing in disguise. We did not have spring ball last year to develop those younger guys. That's why this spring is so important. In every position is important, but that quarterback position, they just didn't have time. And we would really be under the gun right now if Kenny wasn't back, trying to get one of these guys to step up. And, Nate Yarnell's done a nice job as well. I mean, he's shown some leadership skills, and it'll be interesting, there. But, I've been happy with his progress so far in 7 practices.
We'll go to Amanda for the next one.
You've talked a lot about how you guys missed out on the development last year with spring ball being canceled a few practices in. Do you feel like you're ahead of the game now? I know it's only been through 7 practices so far this year, but do you feel like you're ahead now compared to where you were last year when spring ball was canceled?
No doubt about it. I mean, we got 3 in, 1 padded practice. We've got, 7 in with 5 padded practice. So we're way ahead, and we want to keep going too. We don't want to say, okay, we got what we needed. And that's why I've slowed things down. So we've got 3 more weeks to work with our guys. I want as much time as we can around our guys, and then get them ready for finals as well the week after that. So I think we're way ahead and excited about it. We got to stay healthy. We got to stay COVID free too, because it's still here. It's still around.
And are there any details you can share about the format of the spring game or anything regarding the game?
The only thing I can tell you right now, and again, things change, but, we plan on doing the same thing we did in the last, I guess 5 years. I think this will be the 6th spring game, but do the same thing. It'll be split up. We'll draft it, let the seniors draft it out. It'll be, I may have to slim down the seniors. Maybe it's a super seniors, drafting out the kids because they didn't get to do it last year. It's probably how we'll do it. I just made that rule up just now. And I think we'll kind of go from there. I think it'll, be the same. I think we got plenty of depth as long as we stay COVID free and healthy with injuries, and we'll be okay.
Pat, you've had some, impressive years the past couple of years with the defensive line, and obviously a few of those guys are going to get drafted at the end of the month. It's always been competitive. Charlie always talks about it. I mean, who are those guys this year now that, Rashad and Patrick are gone that are kind of stepping up?
Yeah, I mean, the three guys that are, in the running to be, the two stars at the end, obviously is Deslin Alexander at this point is one of them. John Morgan's playing real well, and Habiball Donato's really been good. So all three of those guys are the top three guys right now. And then, after that, you're talking, Dayon Hayes and Nakai Johnson and Bam Bremo's playing some now. He's played inside, he's played outside. But he's another guy that, he played a lot more end today, and I'm looking forward to watching the practice just to see what he does. But he's athletic, he's long armed, and so all those. I mean, we've got plenty of guys. Are they Rashad Weaver and Patrick Jones yet? No, but by fall camp we hope to develop a couple more that can get to the quarterback, and we can continue to try and lead the country in sacks.
Pat, inside there at D tackle, I mean, you've got 4 or 5 guys that could start for you. I mean, how is that shaking out? I know Kalijah had a really nice season, specifically last year.
Yeah, Kalijah's doing a nice job. He's had a great spring so far. He's, one of the highlights in my opinion. David Green has played well as well. I mean, those would be the two that I've seen a lot out of right now. Those are the two I'll speak of at this point. And then, we'll watch the practice today and see who steps up after that.
Pat, your old friend Mike Gundy suggested the other day that instead of doing an intra-squad scrimmage or a game at the end of spring ball, you play other teams. How do you feel about maybe playing other teams, maybe Temple and Parrish have thought Penn State in an intra-squad game?
I would love it. Call them up, Jerry, set it up. I think it'd be great. I mean, the thing that scares you about a spring game is you have 22 players out on the field at one time, and you got, more opportunity for guys to get hurt. I mean, there's 22 guys out there every time. When you go into a scrimmage like that, you got 100 out there, so you got 3 different teams. So it's scary. I mean, when you play against somebody else, you got 11 guys out there at a point, and I think it slims down the chances. I don't care who it is, Temple, Duquesne. Our kids, when I was at Michigan State, our kids set up 7-on-7s against Grand Valley. Our team went out to Grand Valley one time and played 7-on-7 against them. Then they came and visited. The players set it up, but it was an unbelievable thing. We'd love to set some of that up too, Jerry.
Is there enough nationwide sentiment for something like that, Pat?
I have no idea. I don't know what everybody likes to do. I mean, obviously you don't want to play someone you're playing during the year, but I think it'd be a great opportunity. I think, with what happened with COVID and, the way people were able to change games like that, I don't understand what, why. Maybe if the NCAA goes away and someone else takes it over, maybe we'll be able to do it. I don't know. But we'll see. It's a great idea though.